This video is about when your garden devastates you, or in my case, when my garden devastates me. So I recently went on vacation, and I had a whole automatic watering system set up for the garden here, and it was going to be all good. And it's just been raining like crazy in North Carolina for the past 5 days. It's been like thunderstorms every night. I came back to find that my garden had been, I don't know, basically washed out. Whoops, let me start that last part again. But I came back to find that my garden had basically been washed out. I mean, look at, we've got like rain trenches going on in here. The water's just been digging through the soil. This is the most obvious. It sucks when that happens. And I will say that not all of the plants are damaged. And yeah, a bunch of water kind of just came shooting through here and has washed, tons of my garden soil into the grass. And there's just this moment when you come back and you discover that. And you're looking at your garden and you're looking at how just soaking wet everything is. I can probably, well, at least I can't squeeze any water out of there, but nonetheless, I don't know what I'm doing. It's that insecurity that hits you, that I don't know what I've been doing, and I'm going to fail at this. And everybody else's YouTube videos that I've been watching have these nice, blooming big gardens already. We just got started like a month ago, so we're already behind the 8 ball. And now everything, all the work that I've done has basically been devastated by 5 days of thunderstorms. And you also just can't help but start to realize that even if you do continue with the project, you realize all of the hard work. Now here's kind of that point in the video where I am gonna spin it in that positive direction. And we should change the angle for the because. I'm trying to find a dang camera angle. This is part of the stuff that I always find a little interesting to add, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, you have to sometimes look at yourself and look at this kind of negative mood that you've allowed yourself to fall into just because something completely natural like rain happened for 5 days. And because, you haven't taken the time to put the edging around the garden yet. But I guess it is those things that just sort of happen to allow us to sort of see all of the things that we can continue to improve on. I was born right around the time when like the original Nintendo came out. So I was sort of born into this like new video game world. And in video games, you always want to sort of achieve something. You want to be growing your character. You want to make it to the next level. You want to get the more points or whatever it is. You're always wanting to sort of accumulate and become this better thing. But the devastation, like when you come back to your garden and you see that it's been washed out by rain and that some of the plants are, falling over and everything's not looking quite as healthy and great as it was before, it allows you to see the next steps that you can take to become that better person. And you wouldn't have been able to see those steps without that sort of, that devastating thing happening. I mean, there's even things that I haven't even mentioned that have just been a struggle in this garden. I think I may have mentioned this in one video, but our cherry tree right here, you can still even kind of see it. Right, almost, like a week after we planted this thing, it was overrun by Japanese beetles, and they're starting to grow back now. I mean, you can see all this new growth coming on the top here. But the Japanese beetles I basically would come every day and it would be like, have like 5 or 6 of them on it. And they were just ruining the leaves. They were just eating everything. And same with on this nectarine tree right next to it, although they didn't hit it quite as hard as the cherry tree over there. But that was like a really frustrating thing. These fruit trees aren't cheap either. I mean, I think that cherry tree back there cost me, it was over $100. The next thing that happened in this garden that I didn't really talk about is we had planted a bunch of corn seeds right in here. And I didn't really know what was happening at first, but I would come in the morning and I would start to see all my new little plants looking like this. It took me a second to realize that there was a squirrel that was getting into the flower bed, and it was pulling out. I guess it would be more attracted to like the corn seeds because it was like they could pull that seed out and eat it. And are the squirrels like, how do I stop the squirrels? The whole like squirrel thing just sort of negatively invaded my mind for a long time. And I guess that's sort of the point that I'm trying to make here. It's the point that when these devastating things happen, when you come back and your garden's been washed out by 5 days of rain, when you realize that critters or deer or squirrels and things have been getting into your garden, random animal that didn't even give you a thank you, when that sort of thing happens, when you sometimes just look at all of the work that you've been doing and it just doesn't really look like much after, this garden's been going for about a month now. You start to realize that the journey was a lot longer than you thought, but you also that's the reason that you signed up. You bought that video game that one time because you wanted that like long journey, like Zelda, for example, for me. Like Zelda is one of those games that you just know that you're going to invest a long time into. And that's the reason that you got it. You didn't get it so that you could just kind of like fly through the entire game on easy mode. Even though, little side note, I kind of feel like video games have become this like constant just win, win, win. Either way, the reason that we got into all of this stuff is so that we could run into these problems and we could solve them. At the end of the day, that's what we all really want to do, is we want to be problem solvers. Yeah, I probably run into that feeling every week, at least every few weeks. There's some sort of thing that happens that just like you didn't know before, and it starts to stress you out, and you start to like just think that everything you've been doing is a waste of time and you were too stupid to do it in the first place. It just starts that flood of all of those negative comments into your mind, and it happens consistently. I don't know how weird I am. Maybe it happens more consistently for me. Maybe it happens even more consistently for you, or maybe you're the type of person that is always just like, ready to go and taking on the challenge. I think that is the kind of state of mind that we're all trying to achieve, at least. So if you've achieved that, props to you. You're probably not watching this far into the video. Big things are going to happen that are going to sort of, wipe away a lot of the progress that you've made. And those ones are going to hit a little bit harder. But I will say it's also important to know that there's going to be little things that are just constantly happening. Little like things that you just notice that sort of add something to your worry list that we've all got going on in our heads, that make you realize that the journey is longer than you thought it was in the first place. And not only is it longer, but it's going to be a lot harder than you thought in the first place. And I want to end this video by encouraging you to realize that's what we're doing. We're looking for those hard moments so that we can become that next version of the video game character, or we can upgrade ourselves to where we'll have solved whatever the problem was. My next step is I'm going to edge this entire bed, as well as that bed right back there. And before you know it, we're going to be admiring the new garden beds with the nice edging and all of that sort of stuff. And we're going to be thankful that something came and kicked us in the ass to give us the motivation to finally pull the trigger and move on to the next step and get that done. It helps us stay motivated. It helps us stay in movement. It helps us keep thinking about the next little step along the journey that we're trying to take. And it keeps reminding us to keep taking those steps little by little, one by one. And before you know it, you'll have something amazing pop up around you.